So most people will say that they take in other people's information, their emotions, their energy here in their gut. Mm-hmm. So what I invite people to do is just use your imagination. We're playing in the world of pretend, and that's okay. And so you might want to think of this space right here as like the blowhole of a dolphin or a whale. And it can get smaller and it can get larger. And most of us who are empaths think it's our job to take in everybody else's stuff, because once upon a time we were probably shamans, but we've not learned how to be a shaman in this life. And many people, I don't think, came in with the physical structure to be able to take in all that stuff. That seems to be changing. That'll be the next little lesson. So you imagine this space right here. And for most of us who are empaths, it's like this. Right. And it doesn't have to be, because then we overwhelm. So I invite people, close your eyes and imagine that blowhole and just play. Allow yourself to make it to get bigger. And when you're ready, let it decrease. What happens if you decrease it more? How does that feel? What happens if you increase it a little bit more? How does that feel? And generally speaking, I haven't met anyone yet who wants to close it down completely, because it feels very, very uncomfortable to them. But you learn what's that comfortable space. If you are around people who are, I'm just going to pull up, but I'm still going to talk about it. So if you are around people who are the people that you know, trust, love, or nature, it's okay for it to be nice and big. But if you're around a lot of people or individuals who make you uncomfortable, you're going to want to narrow it down. So we are just inviting people to play with the concept, and they're going to see that they probably will feel better when they shrink it down when it's necessary. Now, I primarily use this idea of the blowhole. Some people think of a weave like in cloth. Mm. Some people can go with a color, like if I take the color red and I make it a real deep, dark, vibrant red, that's like more closed. Or I can soften the red till it's like a soft, soft pink, and I can play with that hue. Mm. I had one person tell me that, I can't remember if this one was a he or a she, saw it as like the waves of an ocean, and how turbulent or how still was it? Mm. And that's how she or he worked this process. I had a woman who came to see me quite some time ago, and I taught her this. And she was working in the IT profession and working with these massive people, these men who just, she would come home at the end of the day and she was so exhausted, she was getting sick, and she realized that she was an empath, and she learned how to do that. And she said, "Oh, you mean like a firewall?" And I said, maybe. I don't do computers. I don't know what a firewall is.
I love that.
Yeah. And she said, well, a firewall is your security system. Yeah. That resonated for her. She would set her firewall when she went to work. And she contacted me the next week and she said, oh my God, I'm not exhausted at the end of the day. I'm not getting sick anymore. And she never came back.
Wow. Amazing.
It was fabulous. Amazing. Okay. Now fast forward. And I keep telling people as they come talk to me, you know, as an empath, it's not your job to take other people's stuff in. And I had this one woman who said, you know, Judy, she was roughly 40. And she said, I don't know that that's true. I just don't feel like I'm supposed to not. I think I am supposed to. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You really don't have to live with that belief. Let's change the belief system. Let's learn how to modulate. Okay. Then a couple years later, this little magic 7-year-old boy comes to work with me. And he would come back from school and he had stomach aches and he was angry and he was having meltdowns, and real bright little kid, not autistic, but super sensory. One of the kids I call sensitives. And I said, you don't have to take it all in. And he looked at me and he said, yes, I do. And I said, no, honey, you really don't. That's not your job. And he just looked at me and he said, it is.
Wow.
And this is the kid who I would talk to, and I would say things like, so what do you think of such and such? And he'd go, yes, that's true. Because he's speaking to spirit just like I speak to spirit.
Right.
And I'm like,
yes.
dang. And so I said, so I'm talking to spirit and I'm like, okay. I said, all right, well, maybe he's right. And so I said, all right. And so then I started working with him and talking to spirit and figuring it out. And what we came to understand is it is his job to take in other people's heavy emotions and energies. It is. But I said, the problem is that you're holding on to it. And what we need to do is put a drain in the receptacle. So if this is your receptacle, now we need to place a drain. Where does that drain need to be? And so he pictured it like in the corner, bottom corner. And I said, so let's place that drain in and let's empty all the gunk that you have already been collecting in your 7 years of life. And so he's like, and I said, how's it going? He says, it's good. And I said, does it feel like it's drained? Yes. I said, so now the trick for you is to keep the drain in place. And maybe you'll have to remind yourself at the end of a day, or maybe you don't, and you just place that intention right now. And I talk like that with a 7-year-old,
right,
or a 5-year-old, because they get it.
yes. That's amazing. He said, it is my job.